A very good morning to you. Welcome to another edition of Rise and Shine Daily. Of course, today is Friday, the 7th of July 2023. It's the end of the working week and the beginning of the weekend. My name is Janice Cobham. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. Beautiful Friday morning to rise and shine wherever you are. My name is Uyaya Aneka, and I'm thankful to be here this morning. Of course, do not forget to follow us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Would also like for you to be a part of the conversation at Spectrum T online at Twitter, or should we find our thread, because everybody seems to be threading this morning. Don't worry, by Monday we should give you what the thread will be. If that's where it is getting hot, we move along with the wind.
Yeah, definitely. We will move along with the wind.
Yes.
I'm wondering if everybody in Nigeria has suddenly started trading.
Oh,
Yeah, are you trading?
I'm threading actually.
Oh, wow.
I'm threading actually.
So
because
fast you were.
It was just like a buzz. I know it's not like something I would normally do, but I was like, okay, let's see
try and
from the
see.
beginning,
Yes, yes.
And the energy, Nigerians just make everything just either sweet or sour.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, we like the energy on trend. We like the energy on trend. Is it trend that brought the energy? All the people
on trend. Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of conversation of, oh, this is a direct competition to Twitter. How is this going to affect? I saw lots of funny things. I just kept laughing yesterday. Someone said, someone should please help us check on Twitter. And I'm like,
okay. Anyway, competition is healthy. It makes the whole environment very, very viable. If this is not working for you, you check the next door. Maybe the next door will be working for you and all of that.
But then how do you feel about the multiplicity of apps? It's like we just
that's a lot. I saw a video yesterday of someone trying to run from Twitter to Facebook to TikTok. To Instagram, Snap. Oh, I think that's the idea behind that symbol. The symbol is like zigzag, kinda.
Connect it all.
But it's I like it because they made it a little bit easy, right? The fact that you just from your. I know that initially it came up on my Instagram, right? And I was like, which is this one again? And I think I was asking someone yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before yesterday now? Day before yesterday. I was asking someone, I said, please, which one is this one? I don't understand. So when I click on it, it takes me somewhere that says phone game or something like that. And then I get hooked somewhere. And I'm like, please, I'm not doing it again. I don't understand this thing. But yesterday, it just came like a buzz, right? Everybody, trading. So I was like, okay, let me try something else again. And I decided to try and waloo.
It just worked.
It worked. And it's more like you taking all of your Instagram followers to try it, so it makes it easy. You're not starting from the scratch. Mark must be very sensible.
But then again, people still have to accept whether or not they want to follow you on the thread. You invite everybody, but then confirmations are done. So but it's just we're all still studying it. Someone said, hello, please, I'm new here. Someone said we are all new.
And then I just came was more like one of the sentences you find, and all of that. But it's good. Like I said earlier, competition is the way out of some of those things, right? Healthy competition it is. I saw Elon Musk do something yesterday as well, like, just go, you guys are going to come back. But there are just other things that are
Elon
features.
That's Twitter.
Yeah, that's Twitter. There's some other things that are on Twitter that are not there yet on the thread.
Of course, they'll continue developing it as the weeks go by.
Okay, so it's a Friday actually, but let's look at some of the flash stories and major stories that we have in the country. Don't forget, we always bring you very hot topical issues on Rise and Shine Daily. And so we go off to Taraba State. What's happening in Taraba State? This is as part of our flash news this morning. Taraba State Governor, as part of the fuel subsidy removal, has decided, Agbu Kefis have decided to reduce university school fees by 50%. Now, that is to cushion all of the hardship in the country at Taraba State University, where he said quality education remained his main priority. Now, Kefis said he had since declared a state of emergency in the education sector. According to him, I am committed to free education at the primary and secondary school levels. Many of the university students expressed joy, occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy has made payment of school fees difficult. They said the slash has raised their hopes, according to what Bello, the spokesperson of the governor, said. Meanwhile, Kefir says plans are being perfected to pay pensioners and retirees. We'll leave it at that this morning. But would we say that that's a good move coming from Agbu Kefers now of Taraba State? There seems to be a lot of new governors on the block, trying to do things maybe in the right way or in the right direction as we speak. Due to the hardship that Nigerians are facing, but how sustainable will this be? Will be the question that will be asked, at the long run. How sustainable will this slashing 50%? I think we should even begin to ask questions like, what was the university fees in Taraba State before now? And if we are slashing it by 50%, what impact will it be making in the lives of parents that, are paying this fees? But from, the statements of the spokespersons, parents are happy about this and students are also happy about this as well.
I think the big question, like you said, is sustainability. It's a good move, people oriented in the first instance. But when we look into the treasury of the state, is this something that is sustainable, and for how long? Is he saying that for the next couple of months until the economy stabilizes with regards to the removal of fuel subsidy, then we will take off, the 50% slash? I mean, he's subsidizing education because of the removal of
the fuel subsidy,
fuel subsidy, as it were. But this is a good move. We can just imagine the number of people who have decided, education has to wait because we really can't afford, the extra bucks that is, even making the money to be able to pay the fees. So we're also seeing a lot of people-oriented energy in this new administration, whether we cut it from the presidency down to different state governors. But of course, parents in Taraba State and students have welcomed this new move very effectively. Of course, even at that meeting where he had a stakeholders meeting with the leadership of universities, he also questioned a lot of activities going on in the education sector of Taraba State as a whole. Now he's even looking at courses, over 54 courses in the university that are being lectured but not accredited. So he's saying, why is this going on this way?
Obviously, the state of emergency that has been
it's
declared.
very necessary. It means that there's a lot of lopsided activities going on in the education sector. So it just goes to see everybody has an agenda and has where he wants to really put his energy. And maybe Kefas Agbu is a more educationally oriented person, as much as we'd like to see him do great in other sectors also. But I mean, education is like the bedrock of a society. Once you fix that, you'll be able to lead of this price slash for them and allowing their children to go back to school.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I know that a lot of parents will happen, to make sure that their wards or their kids go to school as well. But again, when we even talk about cushioning the hardship on Nigerians, governors coming out to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, we take it back to even stories that we heard, I think, from Lagos State and which other state now, that they said they were going to also subsidize transportation by putting out buses on the road for workers to use to go to work. So most times we see that these statements are being made, but we have not even seen the workability of this statement. So we need to, so it's one thing for the governor of Taraba State to come out and say, oh yes, I'm going to do this, I've slashed fees to 50% and all of that. Let us see the implementation of it. It's one thing to say, let us see the talking. There's almost like too much talking right now from different governors in terms of subsidy removal and all of that. We don't want to see that, oh, you're talking. We want to actually see that you're doing. But again, on the, still talking about Taraba State, there's something that I saw some couple of days ago, I think about 2 days ago. There was some kind of communal clashes in Taraba State now, 50 feared dead in Taraba, communal clashes. So I'm like trying to juxtapose the two issues now. You're slashing education to 50%, but there is serious communal clashes in your community or in some communities to the point that a curfew has been placed on these communities, what should be the priority at this moment? Is it education, or even to save the lives of those in your community or in your state?
It may not necessarily be that Abu is not placing the clash in those communities as priority. I mean, it's just like having the governor do one thing in within the first 2 hours of his morning, and then doing the rest in the evening. So we are sure that when you're also talking about security, it's a matter of utmost importance in any state.
Exactly.
Without even having security, the education cannot go through as expected. So we are sure that the governor of Taraba State should be doing something in order to meet the situation in the board. And when we also talk about curfew, it gives them the leeway to be able to ascertain what exactly is going on between those communities that is making them clash. So we do expect that handling the insecurity issue in Taraba State is going side by side with other initiatives that the governor is reeling out at this time. When we are even talking about governance, we must not let one sector suffer because of the need of the other sector. So we just expect that the governor knows exactly what he's doing at this time with regards to governing his state.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's all we'll take for that particular flash news. Congratulations to Taraba State students and, of course, parents in Taraba State enjoying a 50% slash in school fees. Maybe some more governors might just want to toe on that line concerning their state and education so far. But again, I think that's also when we are even talking about slash in school fees, let us also try as much as possible to give the required facilities for these people to have quality education. So it's not like just have education, but we're talking about quality education as part of sustainable development goals. Okay, so our major story, we are.
Well, we'll just go to the Niger Delta Development Agency, which is down south now. The Executive Secretary, Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, Engineer Simbi Kasiye Waboti, has identified transparency, prudent management of funds, and a new master plan as very vital for the sustainable development of the Niger Delta. He said these and other things need to be put in place in order to attract private investors and other stakeholders to support the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Now, in his keynote address delivered at the NDDC Public-Private Partnership Summit 2023, which took place in Lagos on Tuesday, Waboti tasked the NDDC management to return the commission to the path of transparency and accountability in order to attract and sustain local and foreign partners. He also recommended that the NDDC should project itself positively through its choice of signature projects and interventions and open its account and project site for public scrutiny. Now, according to him, capital is very shy and avoids controversies like a plague. In a situation where there are real or perceived infractions, corruption, lack of accountability, and other vices, the capital attraction becomes a big challenge. Now, identifying NDDC's sources of funding to include the Federation account, all producing companies within the region, state governments, and local or international grants. He added that the Commission will be expected to demonstrate financial ingenuity before it could leverage for more capital. Based on his recommendation against the backdrop of experiences at the Nigerian Content Development Monitoring Board, currently highly rated in the country by many independent arms of the federal government and the private sector. Okay, of course, we are looking at how to develop the NDDC. There's been some failure in the Niger Delta Regional Master Plan launched in 2007 on insufficient funding, frequent changes in leadership, delays in budget approvals, and other issues. Now he canvassed for a modified or an entire, that's like the bedrock of what the conversation is about. There is need for like an overhaul in the NDDC structure, as it were, to be able to take it back to where, because I know that NDDC used to be like a very reputable structure within the South, where it represented the needs of the Southerners, and especially with regards to intervention. But it looks like some of the problems that Wapoti has even pointed out, the case of change in leadership, which has been very frequent in the last couple of years, has a way also of affecting the vision of the commission. But I mean, these are very important issues raised by the NCDMB.
Yeah, definitely. When we even talk about Niger Delta, I think there are about 6 states now that are under the Niger Delta Development Commission. And one of the issues, or one of the reasons or objective why Niger Delta Development Commission was even created was to make sure that they address some of the issues affecting Niger Delta regions. Niger Delta, is it 6 states now? Obviously all of the oil producing states in the country in southern Nigeria, and it showed, of course, that press statement said, there are just a lot of challenges that are affecting the Niger Delta region. When we take our minds to Port Harcourt, River State, we take our minds even to Bayelsa. There's been a lot of, a livelihood has been taken away from them. You go even to the aquatic bodies, you find out that those that are fishermen, of course, River State people and Bayelsa State people are predominantly fishermen. And so when you find out that oil spillage has even destroyed their water bodies, you're finding out that Niger Delta region come up with the whole Niger Delta Development Commission. But we have seen in time past how monies that are budgeted for the Niger Delta regions are being misused, or rather misappropriated, and the objective, it now makes the objective of creating the Niger Delta Development Commission more like a child's play here. So we are saying that, okay, there are monies budgeted for some forms of development to these Niger Delta regions in terms of road infrastructure, in terms of the health facilities in these communities, in terms of a lot of things, even pipe-borne water and all of that. But do we see this happen? Do we see them take on these kinds of projects? We still find Niger Delta regions being complaining of the fact that their states are still less developed, but we are the ones actually, okay, let's us bring up a new master plan. It's one thing to bring up a new master plan, is yet another thing for us to see that this new master plan is implemented to the later. We're not even talking about the crisis that happened recently in the past administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari now, where we saw a lot of in-house fighting in the Senate, and where I remember Gospel Akpabio, before he became Senate president, where he said that a lot of even the senators are part of the issues affecting the Niger Delta region in terms of some contracts that were awarded, who were these contracts awarded to, and why these contracts were not completed in the first place, and all of that. So it's quite a pity that even though we have a structure that is supposed to be facilitating some developmental issues in Niger Delta region, we see little or nothing being done. And so if we are saying that it's because the master plan, the initial master plan that was created in 2007 has a fault somewhere, then let us see how we can renew the master plan, but more effectively implement some of the things on the master plan.
Very, very important. Now, the master plan is basically conceived as a tool that the millions of people of the Niger Delta region can use to actualize their common, their common vision and build their future to the standard they desire. Now, the master plan is designed to offer stakeholders at all levels, individual, group, and community, the opportunity to participate fully in the planning and decision-making process. Now, specifically, the coordinating consultants require the ideas and opinions of stakeholders as basis for defining focus areas for development and for producing a vivid picture of what the people want the Niger Delta region to look like within 15 years of the master plan implementation. Now, this implies that the input of stakeholders today within the NDDC Commission is what will determine the state of affairs both for individuals and communities in the region tomorrow. Now, the master plan in itself even looked at about 24 areas to be, squarely looked into with regards to this master plan. So we're looking at different things: the demography, the environments,
and hydrology of participating states. We are looking at biodiversity, transportation. So we have a list of 24 things that should serve as guidelines within the bracket of the master plan for the NDDC. Now, when we add transparency and accountability to all of these 24 areas that must be particularly paid close attention to, then we can see that the NDDC has even said within the next 10 to 15 years we should see states within the NDDC region taking up a particular kind of look. Let's take the impact of the oil and every other related resources that they have within them, and let's take in the stakeholders' opinions and ideas and interpret, and let's see how it collectively affects the output of the region. And I think this is very, very important. Now, when we see that the NCDMB is coming in to look at the loopholes that they have within the commission, let's expect that the two agencies will work together and rule out all of the curvy ends that we have.
Definitely. With all of the huge budget that has been made for it, you begin to ask, where do the monies go to?
Exactly.
So let's begin to see if we are having a new master plan, all of the things that has been ruled out to be included in the master plan. Let's see a massive implementation of it. Now, when we even look at what has been happening in some of these Niger Delta regions, you find out that most of the issues of the challenges that we are facing as Niger Delta regions is one of the reasons why we have a lot of people stand up and ask for secession. We are the ones creating the wealth. Why are our states less developed and other states more developed than our states? So it's a good thing, a good move that we are going to be having. The changes that has been ruled out this morning is that there's lack of funding, and even when the budget is being approved, it takes more longer time and all of that. So let's see how we begin to have these things work to for the better of the Niger Delta region, and I think that we will be better up for it. And let's just see the development come through for this state. That's very paramount right now.
Relevant conversations that must be had rather, funding and proper disbursement and implementation. Usually, even when these fundings are sent, misappropriation.
It's another thing.
If you look at some of the Senate now, you have added staff to the managers of the system being budgeted, finances for them are budgeted to the tunes of several millions. When you make those kinds of budgets, which are heavily padded, not that people working must not earn a living, but heavily padded because you're seeing in the hundreds of millions. Now, what part of this funding will then be used to effectively get to intervention? Because NDDC as a commission is primarily set up as an intervention agency for the Niger Delta region. So when we see a lot of wastefulness, let's even start by judiciously using the fundings available before we now look at the fact that we are underfunded, by the federal government, as it were. But we expect that, like you said earlier, once we begin to have these kinds of conversations, we go beyond just talking about them, and we begin to see implementation. So let's see within the next 1 year to 2 years.
We're not also saying that the Niger Delta hasn't done anything. Of course, we've seen a lot of interventions come through from the Niger Delta Development Commission, but
as opposed to how much they would have done.
As opposed to how much they're being budgeted for. Now, you even talked about the fact that when you even look at remunerations of staff, it's quite alarming, right? So everybody wants to go into Niger Delta Development Commission to be a worker there and all of that because of the so many monies that are being accrued to these people. We are not saying that they're not supposed to be collecting such salaries, but let us see how they translate the monies that have been projected for intervention projects. Let us see it happen. Let us see it happen. There are some roads that the Niger Delta has come, to construct as intervention measures. There are some health facilities that they have done. They have done enormous, right? But when we put it side by side with the monies that are being budgeted for, then Nigerians will tell you that it is not enough for what they have done actually. But we just put a pause on that particular conversation. It is beginning to be a buzz right now in the country when we talk about social media apps, and just a few things that we need to know about this particular app. Of course, the Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg says that the platform passed 10 million signups just 7 hours after its debut, and it's still climbing. Within its first 24 hours of being live, the new Instagram app Thread, Meta's new Twitter competitor, hits 30 million users, and it's still climbing. Now, on Wednesday night, actually, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg took to the new app to announce a 10 million figure, saying 10 million signups in 7 hours.
Great win for the Meta family. Of course, we see that at the present, his thread has over 37,000 replies, including from noteworthy figures such as Mr. B lifts Instagram account data to get set up, meaning anyone with Instagram in a few quick taps and a download away from joining threads, having a dedicated Twitter competitor on their phone. Now, Meta did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Thursday. This same cross-app dependence on Instagram is sparking some frustration amongst early users who've poked around the app's terms and conditions and have found that in order to delete a thread profile and data, its associated Instagram account will also need to be deleted. In other words, once you open a thread profile, it's not a simple thing to undo. Yes, these are part of the issues that we have seen on Threads. I saw some celebrities asking about, oh, if I decide to delete my Threads, you just lose your Instagram account at once. But some other people have said that it's not true. And some people have complaints. I mean, commented that it's not true. That funny enough, this is a reality that we even need to address. Most people hopped on Thread and did not read the terms and conditions of the app.
But you know that it's quite a difficult thing for Nigerians to do. I don't know if it's just peculiar to Nigerians, but a lot of us do not even read terms and conditions. Do you read terms and conditions?
I joined Thread, but I did not read the terms and conditions.
You just run through and I agree, without necessarily reading.
And
maybe because it's
culture.
too long a text or something, but we've just developed a culture where we don't get to read some of those things. We just agree to
realities that will make it a safe space for all of the users. So I mean, if you're on Thread and you know that this might be a concern, just remain until you hear that Meta has found a way for you to be able to delete Thread without you losing your Instagram account. Like you earlier mentioned, most of all the celebrities that decided to join the app moved with their blue tickets. So imagine someone who's on like 373 million followers on Instagram
people might not even open it for a long while and then just concentrate on Instagram and go over to Twitter. Like I said earlier, Elon Musk made a taunt. He was like, okay, you guys should just go. You'll definitely come back. I think I have that tweet somewhere. It's not about threats, but we will welcome all the fallen soldiers back to where they actually belong once the party is over. So
I think the competition.
What happens when you have a new thing? You're so super excited about it.
Everyone is buzzing. But then the conversations have continued to be that what is Twitter doing wrong? That most Twitter, users are not, they're no longer so comfortable with Twitter space. First of all, like if we come down to Twitter community in Nigeria, it's something that is plagued with a lot of violence. People say the energy on Twitter Nigeria is very toxic, and for a while even some people decided to stay away from Twitter Nigeria just not to be caught up in all of those toxicity that happens there. But then again, we're also looking at the fact that since Elon Musk took on Twitter, there's been a lot of new inferences, how much people are paying. There's been new restrictions also on Twitter that is making the space not as interesting as when the old minders were facilitating the app. Yes, so at this time we're also looking at the fact that you cannot engage more than 600 contents on Twitter daily. Because Twitter has put a limitation to that. So a lot of people are having issues issues with how Twitter has become over the last couple of months since Elon Musk came on. And so while we also see the energy, especially when we bring it down to the Nigerian community, as people have moved with, they want to see what options are available on Thread that are currently not available on Twitter. And most of the conversations you will see is we want to know what we can really say here without the energy of Twitter.
Yeah, definitely. But would we say that that's some of the loopholes that Mark Zuckerberg saw on Twitter and decided to do something similar to that as well? Maybe to demarket, Elon Musk or something. But there's been a lot of complaints about Elon and, of course, the Bluebird app and all of that. But here we are. We're treading, and I hope you're treading as well.
Nigerians will say endeavor to tread carefully.
Yeah, tread carefully. It's very, very necessary.
There are some clauses that I did a little bit of reading. So I found out that in part of the clause for Thread is that no nudity on Thread. You cannot post nude pictures. You cannot post sexual content. You cannot post anything that violates the mind of a child on Thread. And I was like, woo!
So more like this is open for everybody.
Yeah.
They're also considering minors as well.
Yes, and you know that we are living in a society that has become highly provocative when you're talking about nudity and sexuality and sensuality. Mark Zuckerberg is saying on this Thread, we ain't having such energy, and it was such a welcome development.
But I also think that it's something that is very common with him, because even on Facebook, there are just a lot of restrictions in terms of nudity and all of that. So if you post contents that go against the guideline, sanitizing the social media space is also very healthy as well.
And we also know that Meta doesn't take violent comments also.
Yes, knowing fully well that a lot of young people go on social media, falsifying their ages. So you could have a child, a minor, go on social media and tell you that he's 18 when he's just about 15. Or even 12.
And will now be exposed to those content.
Exposed to a lot of, terrible content as well.
So far, so good also. Thread does not have DM. So there are no inboxes, there are no calls, there are no direct messaging yet on Thread. I, for one, would think, Mark Zuckerberg should leave it that way. So that is just the difference. I mean, we can DM and inbox each other on all the other platforms. Let's keep Thread for threading, like following the thread of the conversation. That's something,
Definitely.
Yeah.
And someone jokingly said, finally, I will sew my torn trouser. I found Thread.
Yeah. There's been all kinds of funny comments. It's just hilarious right now. If you need a good laugh, Thread is the place to be, because Nigerians make a good laugh out of everything.
Yeah, definitely. We'll take a breather and join Mary Joseph, who's standing by for the news brief. And when we come back, of course, we'll be looking at the papers this morning. What's on the front page of our national dailies? What are the big stories? We'll come back and give that to you. But let's join Mary Joseph for news brief.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people, but there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Spectrum TV, broadening your horizon.
allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the Constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian Police Force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian Police Force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but you can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding you, your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
Government, Secretary General, delegates.
Voting for Spectrum TV to improve for the lapses in counting.
A very good morning to you and welcome to your morning news brief on Spectrum live from Uyo. I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief with a report that President Bola Tinubu has signed 4 executive orders, one of which is the suspension of the 5% excise tax on telecommunication services and the excise duties escalation on locally manufactured products. Among them is the Finance Act effective date variation, Order 2023, which defers the commencement date of the changes contained in the Act from May 23, 2023 to September 1, 2023. Special Advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communications and Strategies, Dele Alake, announced this while briefing State House correspondents at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Alake said this is to ensure that the Act aligns with the 90 days notice period required by the National Tax Policy 2017. Meanwhile, the chairman of the National Population Census, NPC, Nisar Isakwara, has said that President Bola Tinubu will announce new dates for the Nigeria's conduct of the National Population and Housing Census. The NPC boss told State House correspondent after his meeting with the president that further delay in the conduct of the census will incur additional expenses. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Moino had expressed the readiness of his administration to collaborate with any indigene of the state who is in position to draw development projects that will create jobs and boost the economy of the state. The governor stated this while playing host to a delegation of the governing council and members of the host community of the newly established Federal College of Education, IDIDEP, in Ibiono local government area of the state, led by the former senior special assistant to the immediate past president on Niger Delta affairs, Senator Ita Enang, during a courtesy visit on him at the government house, Uyo. We head straight now to the foreign scene where at least 17 people, including 3 children, have died after a gas leak at a southern African slum near Johannesburg, possibly linked to illegal mining operations. Emergency Services spokesman William Laddard said fire and emergency services received a call around 8 p.m. about a gas explosion in the Angelo slum east of Johannesburg. On arrival, they discovered it was a gas leakage from a cylinder containing a poisonous gas. And finally in sports, Cesar Azpilicueta 11th year stay at Chelsea came to an end as the Spanish defender returned home to join Atletico Madrid. Cesar made 508 appearances for the Blues and won 9 trophies, including the Premier League, Champions League, Europa League, Club World Cup, FA Cup and League Cup. We'll have details of this and many more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine where we have Janice and Uyai on standby. Do have a wonderful weekend.
Government, Secretary General,
This was the Lagos Nigeria for Spectrum TV to recover 45 seats in counting.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by cross them. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord. I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Every society is premised on the quality of relationships forged by its inhabitants. The health of these relationships determines how well people, relationships, organizations thrive and how long they stick together. Join Uyai Anyekan on Connect every Wednesday from 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. and on Sunday 2:30 to 3 p.m. on channel 421 on Star Times to catch all the conversations, interviews, real stories and how to navigate relationships and family life in the 21st century. Real people, real faces, real stories. Connect live on Spectrum Television.
One truth.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. Of course, Mary Joseph just brought us tidbits of global news. But before we went to the news brief desk, we looked at certain issues already on Rise and Shine this morning. The fact that Taraba State Governor Agba Kefas has slashed university fees by 50%, a gesture to cushion the effects of subsidy removal on his citizens. We also saw the fact that the Niger Delta Development NDDC is to unveil new master plan. Also, the new app Thread is buzzing and already in 24 hours has garnered up to 30 million subscribers. These and more are some of the conversations we've had so far. For details, you need to be following us across all social media platforms, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng, YouTube on the go. As you go this morning, join us live on Rise and Shine. Also, conversations are heated up on Twitter at SpectrumT Online. At this point, we move straight to Spotlight Dailies, where we bring you information from the front pages of our national dailies.
All right, Daily Spotlight this morning. We look at major stories making it on the front pages of our national dailies. And we are starting this morning with the Punch newspaper. The big story on the Punch says rising inflation. Private sector demands more waivers as Tinubu suspends taxes. And we have on the right the vehicle import, telecom, manufactured goods taxes blocked via 4 executive orders. We also have manufacturers, telcos welcome relief. Federal government says suspension to alleviate hardship. Okay, great news. We still have all the stories here. Federal government promised to tackle military equipment shortage and poor funding. Emir's ban on Isesa, a crime against cultural heritage, says Shoyinka. You can find the story on page 10. We also have Falcons protest cancelled bonuses, threaten to boycott World Cup. Falcons protest cancelled bonuses, threaten to boycott World Cup. Police dismiss Lagos Cup linked to missing baby after Punch report. Still on the front page of the Punch newspaper, Tinubu, 13 million others join Zuckerberg's thread. Did I see Tinubu
Oh wow, Mr. President is already on tread.
Mr.
Oh,
President is treading.
He's treading and trending as well.
Mm.
Tinubu, 30 million others join Zuckerberg's tread. We also have NNPCL plans another $8 billion international gas pipeline. Okay, and then finally on the Punch newspaper this morning we have money laundering. CBN places Cameroon, Vietnam, Croatia on watch list. And those are all the stories on the front page of the Punch.
Moving now to the Nation newspaper this morning, big story on the Nation says Tinubu suspends key tax measures to ease hardship. We also see here, presidency explains 4 executive orders, no tax raise without consultation. INEC files